How to use the Lansinoh Signature Pro double electric breast pump, then stick around. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the different components, how to set it up, as well as how to use the Lansinoh Signature Pro. So let's get started and take a look at all the different components that make up this electrical breast pump. So to start with, you have your pump motor. This is what drives and creates your suction. It has your operational panel on here. Next, you can see that this has tubing attached to it. The tubing attaches the pump motor to your collection containers. Now, I'll pull this apart so we can see all the different parts that make up your collection container. Now, first you have your diaphragm and your diaphragm cap. Now, this prevents any of the milk backflowing into your tubing, making this a closed system. You then have your connector piece. Now, this connects your tubing, diaphragm, cap to your bottle as well as your flange. So this is your flange. It is a 25mm that came in my kit. So check the sizing of your flange, but this one was a 25mm. You have your bottle, which is a 5-ounce bottle, and then you have your duckbill valve. Now, the purpose of your duckbill valve, it sits on the bottom of your connector, and this pushes your milk into your collection container, preventing any spillage. Okay, so they are your main parts. I will add, you also have the option of a bottle cap for storage later. Also came with your bottle nipple and lid if you want to feed it direct to your baby. You also have your charger that is included. This is an electrical pump, so it needs to be plugged in, or the thing that I do love is that this also has the additional option for batteries, which does make this also portable. But I will talk more about the batteries shortly. But first, let's have a look. How does this all go back together to your completed kit? First, you're going to want to take your diaphragm. Now this, you can see that it has the slots. Line them up and simply place that nice and flat. Then we are going to want to attach the cap. Now, the important part of the cap is making sure that you tighten it on. Your tubing connector piece is opposite where your flange sits. So this points to the back. Then we're going to want to place our diaphragm that simply pushes onto the circular piece at the bottom, making sure that these are all on nice and secure. If there are any leaks or this falls off, then you can lose suction, strength, and it can also lead to leaks. Then we're simply going to screw on our bottle, again making sure nice and firm, taking our flange, pushing that in nice and firm. And then we take the end of our tubing and that simply pushes on to the end of the diaphragm cap here. Can be a bit tricky to line up, but again, making sure that is nice and secure. Do that twice if you are double pumping. If you are only singular pumping, you will see there is a T-piece that connects both of your flange sets to the tubing that connects to your pump motor. If you are singularly pumping, on the side here you can see that there is a little toggle that can then be pushed into the end, making this set up for singular pumping. Now, we want to make sure that the end is plugged into your pump motor, otherwise you will not get any suction. On the other side here, you have the port for your charger, and that simply pops in there. While we are charging, you can have both the batteries in and the charger at the same time, and it will revert to the plugged in charger, so it won't use your battery capacity while you have it plugged into the wall. But if you do want it portable, then you can simply remove that and it will use your battery. So in terms of battery, it is 6 AA batteries. You can use rechargeable batteries if you're looking for a bit more of an environmentally friendly option. Just make sure when you're replacing batteries, you replace the whole set at the same time. Don't just replace one. That simply clips in at the back. So now we are ready to start pumping. But first, before I go through the pumping settings, we need to make sure that our pumping equipment is clean and sterilized. So Lansinoh recommend that you wash your parts in warm soapy water. So you pull apart any parts that come in contact with milk, remove your tubing and pump motor because this is a closed system. They don't come in contact with your breast milk. So you remove this, pull your pump parts apart, wash them in warm soapy water. They are also top rack dishwasher safe. And we need to wash them after each use unless you are using the fridge hack, where then you store them in the refrigerator for a set period of time. We then, after they have been washed and cleaned, you can set them out to air dry, or once a day you will also need to sterilize these. Now the recommended method is to boil these in a pot of boiling water for around 5 minutes. There is also the option for a steam sterilizer, and follow the recommended manufacturer recommendations. Okay, so we have our pump that is clean, it is sterilized, ready for the first use. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned it, you need to sterilize at least once a day. Let's take a look at our pump settings. Now when you turn it on, here is your power button. You simply turn it on, your pump will automatically start up. You can see here that you have the droplets. This is for your expression mode, your massage mode. This is for stimulating your letdown. So this will run automatically for 2 minutes and then we'll switch over to your expression mode. So you can manually switch between using the droplet button. This is your mode button and that will switch over. Now in your expression mode, you have the option of 3 different settings. So as you press this little button here, you can see that's got 1. It will go to it's almost a slower rhythm for the 2, and the 3rd is the slowest rhythm out of all of them. And I can show you on here. So this is just the cycles that you can see with the different pumping styles. So the 3rd is a much slower pattern versus your first one. Which one works best for you? It really is a bit of a trial and error to see what your body best responds to. Some people respond to the gentle, slower expressions. Others respond better to the fast suction. So it really just depends on your body and what you best respond to. Again, with the suction levels. So there are 8 different suction levels, and you can adjust these by the plus and minus. My recommendation is that you start on a 1 to 2, see how that feels, and then work your way up to a stronger setting that feels both comfortable and gives you a great output. In terms of pumping cycles and rhythms, some people even find that they switch back to the stimulation mode And they might run that for 5 minutes and then switch back to your expression mode. Some people respond better to multiple letdowns through their pumping. So it's really just about finding what best suits you. There is no one size fits all when it comes to pumping. All right, so you can also see on here that you have your timer settings. There is also your battery level. So the battery will last for 2 hours. Again, you can plug it in and have this as just a solely electric wall plug pump, and that will run continuous. But if you are just on your battery charger, that should last for around 2 hours. You can see the battery lighting up on there. So let's quickly talk about flanges, because that's an important part as well. As I mentioned, this is a 25mm flange. I highly recommend that you, before you even start pumping, that you size up your nipple to find your correct flange size. Again, pumping is not a one size fits all. You need to make sure that your nipple can flow nice and freely through the flange tunnel. Too much and it will pull in your areola, and that can then lead to quite a lot of discomfort and potentially damaging your nipple. Not enough, and you're not pulling your nipple through and getting the full suction. So it might mean low output as well as pain. So making sure your nipple is nice and free moving. And that comes down to the diameter of this flange tunnel. So as I said, it comes with a 25mm. We have a few options. You can purchase separately and size up or down with your flange tunnel, or you can look to purchase a flange insert if you need a smaller tunnel, which simply sits in your flange. It's a little piece. They don't come with the Lansinoh, but there's a little piece that can insert and sit within your flange tunnel, and that reduces your flange tunnel size. So choosing your right flange is again very important. Once you are certain you have your right flange size, your pump is cleaned and sterilized, you are ready for your first pumping session. You are going to imagine my hand is your breast. You are going to want to lean forward slightly, placing the flange against your breast, making sure that nipple is centrally lined up. We're going to want to secure it with a nice firm pumping bra. Now, with pumping, most important thing is having adequate suction sealing around your breast and the flange. Any air gaps are going to lead to a loss of suction, which then reduces your output. So we want to make sure that it's nice and firmly in place. During our pumping session, we're going to remain upright. If you're moving all over the place, you're probably going to lose a little bit of suction, leads to or you'll get a little bit of air gaps. It might lead to loss of suction or milk leak. So we're going to be sitting upright during our pumping session. You can monitor how you're going. I do love that this is nice and clear, so it's easy to see where you're at during your pumping session. Run your session for about 15 to 20 minutes. Again, it does vary. Once you have finished, we're going to lean forward again, making sure any residual breast milk is going down into our flange. We're going to break the seal with our finger. You don't want to just rip this off because it will rip your nipple with it. Break the seal and then pull this off our breast. Simply unscrew your bottle. You can place the lid on for storage, or you can pour it into a separate storage container for later on. Then we'll pull apart our pump pieces and make sure that they are cleaned and ready for our next use. If you need to, you can pop your pump back onto charge or change your batteries out so it's ready for next use. And otherwise, that is your pump. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask and I will do my very best to answer. I hope this helps. Cheers.